Hi, I'm Professor Stephanie. This is part two of rendering this image, and I'm gonna I've got my wood markers with me because I'm gonna pull this orangey uh, flavor, this wood flavor, and use this for the lamp. And I've got a little bit of some marker there that's giving us some texture. I'm gonna pop in a little peach here just for kicks, since this is the lighter side. Getting into a little bit of trouble here. Whoop! I overstepped there. Because this is getting to look pretty, like there's not a lot of distinction. Can sometimes be a problem when we have wood on wood or the colors are the same, so I just went back and added that in. Also, I've got to think about this molding, and what I want to do there is I'm going to go back to this flavor, which was the base of what I was using here. Now I think of this, especially right here, is going to be much darker. It's somewhat plain. I think of this as just being a wood that's maybe even, it could be painted, but I try not to make a big distinction. I'm actually adding some color in here, some hue. Look at what happened here. I wanted to make this quite a bit darker. Playing around there. I hadn't changed my hues. Remember, I'm not just adding gray. When I do shade and shadow, I don't add gray. I try to work with the hues I'm already working with, the darker ones. I just take the darker value. This might have a stronger line there, but I'm not going to get too fussy. Okay, I'm going to jump up to my piece of artwork because I want the frame to be the darker hue. I'm going to let the dots just be dots underneath their texture. I'm not going to play around. I'm going to add just a tad of this kind of fun orangey. Again, I'm trying not to leave too much white. Great. So this, again, here's our wood. Here's this sort of pulling this together. And then I actually have a YG91. It's a very light, very just sort of a khaki is where I'm going with this. And I want you to be very careful, please. And this may just be a Professor Stephanie thing, but I'm not a big fan of adding color, hue to a lampshade. Okay, I just don't see a lot of red and purple lampshades out there, and if you would like to do that, you'll have to show me where your inspiration came from and why. Okay, so I'm not just gonna pull out a pink or a blue and make that a blue. We're not like adding color there. That's not a place for like we want our eye to go. So find a neutral that you have that you can use. I'm thinking of, again, I'm keeping my lights on this side. So I left some white there. That'll be interesting to see if that works. A little highlight. I'm just going from dark to light, just adding a little. And sometimes I'll even take a marker and add a little bit of a something here. There you go. Just whoop, real quick. Not a big deal. Now, I am going to take this hue that I used on the lampshade, and it's going into my fabulous abstract painting, okay, or print, or whatever that is there, so that is part of my story. That's what I'm doing here, and here's the peachy, which is going to be from the wood, okay? And so I'm adding that to that so I can kind of get a feel for what I want with there. I might even add a light green. I'm looking around at this piece going, oh dear, this just feels like it's not connecting very well. And so this is how I'm going to help my hues connect. Great. Now I'm going to leave that because I also want you to work on a background. I want you to try a background, and backgrounds can be tricky. And what I'm going to suggest you try just to get a feel for it so that you can get used to this idea. And I'm actually going to I'm using B41, which is a light blue hue. You also have a V22 that's a light hue. You might be able to use your BG90. I'm going to use the big wedge, and I'm actually going to work with these lines. Okay, I'm not going to pretend that we're going to just make this all soft and it won't. Blending is a little tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I deliberately, I don't care if they're lines. I don't care if the white shows through. So I turned my paper, as you can see. I overlap a little bit when I can. And so all I'm doing here is working to, and I might just stop a minute and do right in here. As I go along, this is probably the trickiest part of getting background in there. I let it be light and dark. I am not fussy here. I'm not trying to swoosh back and forth. I'm really deliberately leaving those lines. I'm trying really hard to reach this. I don't know, can you see that okay? Good, all right. Reach this dark line, which is the edge. Now, one advantage is you're gonna have your leaves will all be beautiful. And so this will probably be a little easier to add in there because a little blue will not make a big difference. So as I go along here, filling in, you can see because I find that when it's wet, you can move things around a little bit. So I'm going to stop here because the next thing I want to show you is, I would continue to finish this, is again, you have pencils that you can work with, and sometimes it's interesting to, I'm actually going to see a couple of things. I'm going to pull out a white, okay? I could also pull out a blue, okay? So, and here comes my favorite tool in the world, my little straight edge. And we can see, let me just start with white. This is just we're gonna play around. Okay, can't see it at all. All right. So what happens, I don't know if you're familiar with strié wall covering, which is, it's like a paper-backed wall covering that then actually has a string on it, or if it's a commercial grade, it's a kind of a plastic that's been molded with. So there you go, look at that. All right, so added a little texture. It's hard to see, but the pencil could be a little darker, could be a little, the blue could be a little darker. And again, there's a chance, and I would go all the way across, just adding this. I use my straight edge. I tried not to, I think that would be very helpful as you go across. That kind of emphasizes this linear line that the marker makes, but also creates a pattern. Want to get a little darker underneath here. You might have, here's our, oops, sorry, I want to be sure you can see this. Okay, and I would probably do this twice. I might even let it dry and do it 3 times. And then I might even take a darker pencil to make those lines, if I did that strié look. Great. Okay, well that should get you finished up here on this piece, and thank you very much.